Hey guys, there's this famous Japanese saying that unless an idiot dies, he can't be cured. And you know, if you want to be a networking ninja, right, really have your prowess out there, that understanding the wisdom in that saying is really important. You know, I've been participating in networking groups for many years now, and in business and in all sorts of networking situations. I mean, if you've gone to church, were in Boy Scouts, played Little League, you've experienced networking, and you know, we like to be nice. I mean, we give ourselves the warm fuzzies when we're nice about accepting everybody for who they are, and you know, let's give them a chance, let's give them another chance, let's give them another chance. But you know what? Our initial instinct is pretty good when we run into people who just have no business being there. You know, I can't tell you how many times in my networking group how somebody decided to join and they were the friend of somebody who was already a member, and they come in and like they just rub somebody wrong the first day. You know, they say something inappropriate, they show up late, they're obnoxious, their cell phone's going off, something. And you know, over time I just got to where I could tell you, I could predict their success in the group based on their you know, actions right out of the gate. And they just didn't get it. Like, you'd say, you know, you can't show up late every week. And they would say, well, my kid, I got to get my kid to school, or you know, maybe they're always late on a meeting, or there's always a billing issue, or they always somehow accidentally say something inappropriate to the secretary. That doesn't go away. And you know, you go back to that Japanese proverb of unless an idiot dies, he can't be cured. I think in business, one of the mature things that you come around to with age in business is saying, you know what, you are wrong for my environment, and you need to go away. You know, in a networking group, that's hard. You got to stand up. Maybe sometimes stand up to other members and say, you know what, I'm sure this person's nice. I'm sure, you know, he's your brother-in-law or whatever, but he cannot be around here. He's toxic, or she's toxic for the group. You know, my wife likes to cook. She loves to cook, and she's fantastic at it. I hope someday you can be at our house for dinner and experience my wife's cooking. It's magical. But imagine my wife. She's going to cook she cooks everything from scratch, right? Homemade. I mean, all the raw ingredients. So let's say she wanted to cook bake a cake, and she loves to do this. She's got a bit of a sweet tooth. I don't, but man, she can make a mean cake and loves to eat cake. So she's making a cake, and she looks at this egg. She takes this egg out of the carton, and she's like, I don't know, it's kind of iffy, right? It's kind of cracked, and it just doesn't look right. I mean, we've all eaten enough eggs in our life to know a good egg from a bad egg, right? She's like, I'm not sure. And she cracks it, right? So she's suspicious. She cracks it, and it stinks. Like it. I mean, if you've ever been around a rotten egg, it's pretty obvious. There's not very many people on earth who can't tell a rotten egg. But keeping that person around would be equivalent to her saying, you know what, I'm just going to mix it in and see if it fixes itself. I think it'll freshen up if I stir it in. I mean, that would be ridiculous, preposterous. If you were standing there and she cracked a rotten egg in a bowl of flour and sugar and butter and milk and she's stirring it up, you'd be like, what are you doing? You can't even... Now the whole batch, we got to throw it out. The whole thing's infected. Man, that is so true in networking. Maybe you've got an employee, or maybe you're in network marketing, you got some downline, or maybe you're in a networking group, or maybe you're in a church Bible study, I don't know, and there's a group of people, and there's somebody in there who's just cancerous to the group. Maybe they're well-intentioned, but they just don't get it. Or maybe they're malicious. Either way, it's just toxic to the whole group, and they have to go away. I mean, the best thing for the whole group is to get rid of it. You know, a couple of stories come to mind. I was actually at a training with Dr. Ivan Misner, the founder of BNI, and he was talking about how the only way to get rid of gangrene is to cut it off. It's just how it is. You know, if a soldier were to get injured and get gangrene back in the day, they had to cut the leg off above where the gangrene was to save the rest of the body. And that's logical in that sense. You go, yeah, we're salvaging the body, right? Under normal circumstances, cutting off limbs would seem terrible, right? If someone's just saying, I'm going to cut my leg off, I'm going to cut someone's leg off, we'd be like, no way. But if it's infected, get rid of it. I mean, we understand that concept there, but somehow when it comes to relationships and networking, we don't. We think, oh, let's just see if it's really infected. Let's give it a second chance. Before that, you know it, you're dying. You know, my wife and I, several years ago, right after we got married, more than 10 years ago, we got to go whale watching. And we were up in Victoria, British Columbia, and hopefully someday you get to go there. If you've been there before, you know what I'm talking about. It's gorgeous. Victoria, BC is gorgeous. And we went on one of those whale watching tours. Now, they have like the old people whale watching tours where it's like the boat and you get the glass of wine, it's like a big pontoon, and you go out and I don't know what happens on those boats. We wanted to be on the rocket boat, right, where you wear these like vests and these whole suits. So they put on like cold water suits, right, that are like sealed. So if you fall in the water, you don't die of hypothermia. And we got on this boat. It's called a Zodiac, right? Just by the name, you can tell it's going to go fast. It has two 300 horsepower saltwater engines on it. For those of you out there who aren't, don't have a grasp of this, it's like two Corvette engines attached to the back of a boat that has a rubber tube around it and is made out of aluminum. It's a rocket. So he fires up, the guy who's driving our boat, fires up, and there's like 6 of us in this boat, and we're going to go whale watching, and we're in port, and he fires up these 2 engines. Now, they're noisy. They're big, huge engines, right, outboards on this thing. And he pulls forward just a little bit, and then the boat's kind of tugging. It's obviously we're caught on something. And he's like, oh my gosh, it kills the engines. He's like, I forgot to pull anchor. So he leans over the edge of the boat and he's pulling the anchor up. He's pulling. I swear to you, he pulls up an anchor that's like this big. It's like 10 pounds and it's got like 2 little blades on it about as big as my cell phone, are holding back 2 300 horsepower engines. He couldn't move forward. The boat was stuck because of this little tiny anchor that was just stuck in the mud. Man, these people in your group who are idiots, right, they gotta go, are just like that anchor. You could have the best speedboat in the world, right? These Zodiacs are used by the military to go in and do missions. They're rockets. We could not leave port because of this little anchor. And I think you know in your life who that person is, who in your business, who that employee, maybe somebody in your family. You just can't be around them. And if you're in a situation where you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to do good networking, and that person's got to go, then you need to be the big person and say, either I've got to remove myself from the situation because I can't do business around them, or we as a group have to ask that person to leave. And it might offend them forever. Probably a good chance. They might literally say, screw you, I'm never doing business with you and your family again, and I'm going to take it out in the paper and tell people what punks you are. Fine. Let them go. In fact, I'll teach you a real ninja trick when you've got somebody like that, especially if it's a customer. This is a real fun trick I love with a customer, right? So let's say you got an idiot as a customer. And I don't think any of my customers are idiots, but every once in a while, we all run into somebody where you're like, you are mental and you need to go someplace else. So I had a customer who just did not jive with my, how business worked in my world. And they were just pissed. And, just complain, and needed this, and wanted this for free, and wanted it early, and complaining, just a constant amount of energy for very little money, and it's not a good way to run a business. And I'm not a therapist, I don't know what their issue is. Well, they got super, super mad, and they're like, if this isn't done, I'm going to tell every single one of my friends, not to do business with you. And I'm like, please, that would be the best thing in the world. In fact, everybody I want you to call them today and tell them what a bad business person I am, because people run in similar circles. Chances every one of your friends is crazy like you, and I don't want to do business with them. Go, you and the whole collective part of community. I don't want it. Please tell them. I don't care. I like to do business with nice people who are smart and understand and get stuff done and appreciate and are good communicators. Man, I think a networking ninja tip for you is you got to learn when somebody's got to go, and some people you just can't fix. They just need to go someplace else and deal with their own issues and be on somebody else's time. So, one last networking ninja trick: if you got somebody who's a real pain in the ass, a really, really, really pain in the ass, refer them to one of your competitors and let them deal with them. So, thanks.